Picture this. It's the middle of the night in Los Angeles. Some guy in a hoodie is standing in front of a giant movie billboard.
Okay.
He pulls out a can of spray paint and just starts destroying it, tearing the vinyl, scrawling things, really just making a mess of it.
Right.
Vandalism.
He snaps a few high-res photos of what he's done, gets in his car, and just vanishes into the dark.
So a random act of destruction, plain and simple.
That's what you'd think. But then he goes home, makes a fake email account, something like Concerned Citizen, and blasts those photos out to a bunch of local LA blogs.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
He writes, "Look at this. People are outraged by this movie. They're destroying the ads." And the blogs, desperate for content, run it instantly. Movie billboard vandalized an act of protest.
And because those local blogs run it, the bigger sites, the aggregators, they pick it up.
Exactly. Then the entertainment sites see the traffic, so they cover the controversy. And soon it's on national news. Is this movie provoking violence? And just like that, millions of people are talking about a film they hadn't even heard of 24 hours ago.
And the guy in the hoodie? That was Ryan Holiday. It was his movie's billboard. He vandalized his own ad to manufacture a national news story from nothing.
It's a perfect if a bit disturbing, example of the book we're unpacking today. It shows how thin that line is between reality and what's just manufactured outrage.
It really is. But before we unravel the rest of this, we should probably set the stage.
Right. Let everyone know what they're listening to.
You are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's Notebook LM for deeper, more dynamic book analysis. Today, we are taking a hard look at, trust me, I'm lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator by Ryan Holiday.
And confessions is absolutely the right word. Holiday isn't some journalist looking in. He was a professional marketer, a self-described media manipulator.
So in this book, he's basically opening up his playbook.
He is. He's showing us exactly how the sausage gets made, or maybe how the toxic sludge we sometimes think is news gets manufactured.
It's not a very pretty picture. The core argument he makes is, well, it's terrifyingly simple. The online news ecosystem, the blogs, the feeds, it's not built for truth.
Not at all.
It's built for speed, for outrage, for virality. And because of that, it's incredibly easy for someone like Holiday to hack the system.
And you have to remember the context. This book came out in 2012.
That's ancient history in internet time.
It is. But so many critics now look back at this text as being incredibly prophetic. Holiday was basically describing fake news and algorithmic rage baiting long before those terms became, well, common.
He saw it coming because he was the one holding the spray paint can.
He was.
So let's get into the mechanics, the nuts and bolts. Holiday uses this phrase, trading up the chain. It sounds like something from Wall Street.
That's a great analogy, actually. It's like information laundering. The author explains that the internet has this hierarchy. At the top, you have the giants, the New York Times, CNN, places with credibility, but they're slow. At the bottom, you have millions of tiny blogs. They have zero credibility, but they are incredibly fast.
And they're hungry for content.
Starving. So trading up the chain works like this.
Yeah.
You don't pitch a fake story to the New York Times. They have fact checkers.
They'd laugh you out of the room.
Right. You pitch it to a tiny blog, one that pays its writers maybe $5 an article. You give them a scoop, exclusive, billboard vandalized.
And that little blog doesn't care if it's true. They just need to post something.
Precisely. And as soon as that story is live, it has a URL. It exists. It's now a source.
I see.
So then Holiday takes that link and emails it to a slightly bigger site, a mid-tier blog. He says, hey, look what people are talking about. This is blowing up.
And because that bigger site sees someone else already publish it, they assume it's been vetted.
Or they just don't want to get scooped. So they rewrite it, maybe give it a more sensational headline and link back to the first blog. Now you have two sources.
And the chain reaction starts.
Exactly. A producer at a national outlet sees the buzz on these mid-tier sites and thinks, wow, there's a lot of chatter about this. They run a segment. By the time it hits the mainstream, the lie has this veneer of truth because it's been reported by multiple outlets.
But the source of it all, it was just one lie. An echo chamber.
That's all it is.
That is just wild. It basically weaponizes the laziness of the whole system.
Yeah.
But why is the system so lazy? Is it just incompetent?
It's economics. That's the key point Holiday keeps coming back to. Follow the money. Old newspapers sold subscriptions. They sold trust.
Right. If they lied, you'd cancel.
But today, most online media is free. So what are they selling?
Eyeballs. To advertise.
Exactly. They are paid by the page view. This creates a really perverse incentive. If you spend 3 days checking a story and it turns out to be false, you publish nothing. You make $0.
But if you publish it right away without checking and it goes viral,
You make money. And if it's proven false later, you just issue a small correction. But you keep the ad revenue from all that traffic.
and the book argues that the correction doesn't even work right.
It's actually worse than that. Holiday cites research on what's called the backfire effect.
The backfire effect.
The data suggests that corrections rarely fix the damage. In
Yeah.
fact, for some people, seeing a correction can actually reinforce their belief in the original lie just because it gets repeated.
So the damage is already done.
And the correction never, ever gets the same viral traction as the original outrage.
This leads to that term I saw in the notes, journalism.
Mm.
It sounds gross.
It is a bit gross. Journalism is the industrial production of content. It's taking a press release or a tweet and just churning it into a story in 10 minutes flat to feed the machine.
So verification, fact-checking, that just slows down the production line.
It's a liability in that model.
So we have a system that rewards speed over truth and makes it profitable to lie. That's the how. But I want to pivot. Why does this matter for us, for people just trying to make sense of the world?
That is the most important question. And to answer it, I think it helps to apply the Adlerian lens. We talk about that ladder of cognition: opinion, information, knowledge, understanding, and finally, wisdom.
Okay, so walk me through it. Where does this book land on that ladder?
Well, Holiday provides a huge amount of information, all the insider stories, the specific tactics, that's raw data. And he definitely offers understanding. He connects the dots, shows us the economic drivers.
He explains the machinery.
Better than almost anyone, but, and I think you saw this coming.
There's a but.
There is. Many critics would argue the book falls short of wisdom. Wisdom implies a moral direction, some guidance on how to make things better. Holiday diagnoses the disease, but his solutions are all very individualistic.
Things like, don't feed the traffic beast.
Right, or just ignore the news. It feels a bit like telling someone in a burning building, hey, try not to inhale the smoke.
It puts all the responsibility on the individual, not the broken system.
Exactly. He gives us the blueprint for the bomb, but offers very little on how to actually diffuse it.
You know, this whole idea of finding wisdom in a sea of information makes me think about what we're trying to do here.
It's a constant challenge, finding that depth.
It is. And if you enjoy this kind of deep critique, you should really check out our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments. We offer AI book analysis just like this one, but with a real focus on inspiring reflection and rational thought.
It's all about trying to take that next step from just understanding something to finding some wisdom in it.
Absolutely. We'll link to that later. But let's get back to the book. I want to put Holiday's actions to the test with our framework. Let's start with the golden rule.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
It's a simple test.
And one that Holiday's tactics, well, they fail it spectacularly.
I mean, would you want to be manipulated like that? Lied to about a product?
I have to assume not. He is treating the audience as a mark. We aren't people to be informed. We are traffic statistics to be harvested for a client's gain.
And there's that element of victim blaming, too. He sort of suggests that it's the public's fault for falling for it.
Which is just fundamentally unfair. You can't set a trap, cover it with leaves, and then get mad at the person who falls in.
Good point. So what about the preamble test? The ideals of establishing justice and ensuring domestic tranquility.
This is where the book reveals some really dark implications for society.
How does it impact justice?
Well, justice requires some shared sense of truth. But the system Holiday describes is one where the loudest, most manipulative voice wins regardless of the facts.
So if you don't have a PR machine behind you,
You're silenced.
Oh.
Or worse, you're misrepresented. If you can't game the algorithm, you effectively don't have a voice. That is a deep structural injustice.
and domestic tranquility. I feel like I can answer that just by scrolling through social media for 5 minutes.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? The everything is fake mentality that this book promotes. It creates this corrosive cynicism. It fuels polarization.
Because anger is the most viral emotion.
He admits it himself. The system is designed to make us angry at each other. If we can't agree on basic facts because we assume it's all a manipulation, we can't have a functioning society. It destroys the shared reality we need for democracy to even work.
Okay, that brings me to the logic of his arguments themselves. The book is compelling, it's hard to look away, but are there holes in his thinking?
There are definitely a few logical fallacies to be aware of. The biggest one is probably overgeneralization.
Meaning what, exactly?
Holiday works in a very specific corner of the internet marketing, gossip blogs, sensationalist media. He describes the corruption there perfectly, but then he implies that the entire media landscape works this way.
So he's saying because a clickbait farm is corrupt, the investigative unit at a major newspaper must also be corrupt.
That's the implication. And it's a dangerous leap. It creates a false equivalency between actual journalism and journalism.
I also struggles with this inner saint contradiction. He's confessing his sins, but he's also kind of bragging about them, isn't he?
It's a very self-serving frame. He positions himself as the repentant whistleblower, warning us of the danger. I did these terrible things so you don't have to.
Okay.
But, as critics have pointed out, he built his entire career and sold this very book on the reputation he gained from those stunts. He's cashing in on his confession.
It's like an arsonist selling a book on fire safety while the house is still smoking.
And earning royalties on the smoke. It makes you question how sincere the repentance really is. Is the book a warning or just one more brilliant marketing stunt?
Right. And then there's the victim-blaming logic we touched on. Is it actually sound to blame the reader for clicking on a lie?
It's a logical flaw. He faults the reader for believing the lie, but he's just spent 200 pages explaining how the system is structurally engineered to bypass our critical thinking. The incentives, the speed, the psychology, it's all rigged.
So to then turn around and say, well, you shouldn't have fallen for it.
It ignores the massive power imbalance that he himself so vividly exposed. It's almost a form of gaslighting.
Okay, let's zoom out. We've looked at the morality and the logic. But we have to be fair. This book is a bestseller for a reason. What are its biggest strengths?
Its greatest strength is insider illumination. No matter how you feel about his ethics, Holiday gives us a working model of how modern manipulation happens. He shows us the plumbing.
And you can't defend yourself against a weapon you don't understand.
Precisely. And we have to give him credit. It was prophetic.
Incredibly so.
He saw the monetization of misinformation, the outrage cycles, the whole clickbait economy, years before it became the central crisis of our time.
But the weakness. What's the real danger in reading this book and taking it to heart?
The weakness is the nihilism. The real danger is that a reader walks away thinking nothing is true, everyone is lying, so why even bother?
And that cynicism is paralyzing.
It is. Skepticism is healthy checking sources, asking questions. But cynicism, the assumption that it's all a lie, that just does the manipulator's work for them. If you don't believe in anything, you won't fight for the truth. You check out.
That's a crucial distinction. Skepticism is active, while cynicism is passive.
Well put. The book is a vital diagnostic tool, but it's a flawed moral guide because it doesn't really seem to believe in a cure.
So, as we wrap this up, let's try to synthesize all this. If you had to summarize why, trust me, lying still matters. What would you say?
I'd say it's a stark warning about the economic engines driving our digital world. It matters because it exposes just how fragile public truth really is. It shows that what we consume as news is often the product of a system designed to exploit our attention, not inform our minds.
But with a major caveat.
A huge one. The book demands a critical reading of its own arguments because it risks creating the very cynicism it describes. Think of it as a field manual for information warfare. It's essential for anyone who wants to navigate the world without being manipulated. But you have to read it without losing faith that truth is still worth fighting for.
Powerful. Okay, let's boil that down to 3 key insights for everyone.
Insight number 1, structural bias versus truth. You have to realize the online economy is built on speed and emotion, not accuracy. Following the money, the page view economy, is the first step to real media literacy.
And number 2.
The danger of cynicism. We've hit this hard, but it's vital. Recognizing manipulation is healthy skepticism. Assuming everything is a lie is a paralyzing cynicism that destroys our ability to connect. Don't let the manipulators win by making you give up on the idea of truth itself.
And the third and final insight.
The responsibility of the reader. The system is rigged, yes, but we aren't powerless. We have to resist journalism by seeking verification, by not rewarding outrage with our attention. Every single click is a vote for the kind of media you want to exist.
If you click on garbage, you get more garbage.
That's the bottom line. We are part of the ecosystem. We're the ones feeding the beast.
This has been a heavy one, but so important. If you want to continue this kind of critical thinking, remember to check out Mindful Moments and our podcasts. We're dedicated to pulling apart these complex ideas so we can all be a little less manipulated.
And a little more wise. Click the link on screen for the in-depth book analysis.
Subscribe, share, purchase via the link, and most importantly, think critically. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.